And the results are in. After 14 years of Conservative rule, the UK has elected the Labor Party and Keir Starmer as a new PM. In fact, there's really only one word to describe it.
We can reveal it is a Labour landslide.
A Labour landslide.
A Labour landslide. And then some.
Yes, that's me, the United Kingdom. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation. It all started about 14 years ago when the Conservative Party took power.
The strong, the stable, the good and decent government that I think we need so badly.
It was an exciting time. Sure, David Cameron introduced harsh austerity measures, cracked down on welfare and privatised the Royal Mail. But we had the Summer Olympics. Same-sex marriage was legalised. Scotland decided against a trial separation. Then it all came crashing down.
On Monday, I will go to Parliament and propose that the British people decide our future in Europe.
David Cameron was against leaving the EU, but had promised a referendum in order to quell discontent in his party and put the issue to bed forever. But things didn't quite go to plan.
The UK has voted to leave the European Union.
I do not think it would be right for me to try to be the captain that steers our country to its next destination.
Her Majesty the Queen has asked me to form a new government, and I accepted.
Yes, Britain experienced what Australia is long used to. A new PM without the bother of an election. Theresa May entered the top job with one single task: to deliver Brexit. Slam cut 2.
It is, and will always remain, a matter of deep regret to me that I have not been able to deliver Brexit.
Enter Boris.
Because we're going to restore trust in our democracy.
Boris Johnson was the sort of exciting leader who wouldn't let anything stand in his way. Not gravity, not small children. But then COVID hit, and a nation already suffering the economic impact of austerity and Brexit faced a new cost of living crisis. Isolation rules meant families were kept apart from dying relatives, and even the Queen had to sit alone at Prince Philip's funeral. But lockdown laws didn't seem to affect Boris's own staff, who were caught partying as the Queen mourned.
Let me say immediately that I've paid the fine and I once again offer a full apology.
This scandal, along with Tory sex scandals and allegations Boris had failed to disclose home renovation payments, finally saw BJ fall on his sword, paving the way for...
I'm honoured to take on this responsibility at a vital time for our country.
Despite coming into office with a proposed mini-budget that tanked the British economy simply by being announced, the era of Liz Truss was nevertheless a truly...
I am resigning as leader of the Conservative Party.
I've just been to Buckingham Palace and accepted His Majesty the King's invitation to form a government.
When billionaire Rishi Sunak took the helm, the writing was already on the wall. The Tories were heading for a huge defeat, and bailing on D-Day commemorations to do a TV interview did not help.
This is a story of 14 years and 5 prime ministers who run this country into the ground.
The British people have delivered a sobering verdict tonight. There is much to learn and reflect on.
So much to reflect on, and here to help us is our UK correspondent, Lucy McDonald. Lucy, thanks for joining us. It has been a huge 24 hours. How's the UK feeling as it wakes up today?
Well, just watching that video back, it's just bringing up all those emotions. But the primary emotion last night when the exit polls came in, largest Labour landslide, was just relief. I mean, party politics aside, the 14 years that we've endured, the lies, the lack of leadership, COVID, the poor decisions taking us out of the EU. I think many people just haven't felt safe or looked after. And I guess this possibility for a new future. Starmer spoke about a weight has been lifted, a burden finally removed from the shoulders of the nation. My phone, I didn't stop pinging last night following the exit polls, and I think that's how many of my cohorts certainly feel, that a weight has been lifted.
Lucy, would you describe this, though, as a Labor victory, or is there an argument it's more of a Tory loss?
Well, good question. I mean, this is the Conservatives, it's their worst result in their long history. But did they lose it because of their policies? or did they lose it because people simply don't like them and they feel that they are venal? And I think people have judged them to be incompetent and dishonest. But obviously, it's a very fractured vote, isn't it? We've had Nigel Farage's Reform Party for 4 seats there. We've got the Green Party. It's not all bad news. The Green Party got 4 seats. Lib Dem have now got their, I think they're the 3rd largest party force over 100 years. So it was a low turnout as well. So it's a very split election. But yes, I'm not sure whether Labour would have won with such a landslide had the Tories not been in such disarray.
Well, plenty has been written about just how chaotic the Conservative Party has been over the past decade. We showed a fair bit of it just before. Is it fair?
Oh, my goodness. I think calling it chaotic is being kind. I mean, the lies, the COVID, the partying while people couldn't attend loved ones' funerals. You know, even if you go back as far as austerity under David Cameron, then Prime Minister, and George Osborne, the Chancellor, we've got, you know, more people plunged into poverty, a more unequal country, hard for young people to buy a home. I mean, just some figures since 2010, the people using food banks has increased by 5,000%. 5,000%. People who are working, who can't afford to feed their families. Homelessness has increased by 120%. NHS waiting lists up by 200%. We've seen strikes, we've seen chaos post-Brexit. So, you know, there is no doubt that this last 14 years, you know, a government that's out of touch, self-serving, you know, from Cameron's arrogance and taking us out of the EU to Johnson's lies and bluster to Sunak's being out of touch. Classic Sunak moment yesterday. You know, he can't even get things like this right, like the basic comms stuff right. He was asked what his favourite meal was and he went, oh, sandwiches.
Oh, no, he didn't.
So, Lucy, it sounds like there are a lot of challenges for the UK. It feels like the country, like you're saying, is kind of a mess. I mean, this new PM, Sir Keir Starmer, he's been described as the most ruthless man in politics. Is he up to the job of fixing Britain?
Well, I hope so. It couldn't be any worse than the last 14 years. But of course, it's not easy. We are a country in decline. We've got low economic growth, low productivity. He also had the lowest share of the vote, I think, 35%, you know, to gain power. And the country, it is very divided. And you can see that by, you know, the rise of reform. But like you say, he's a good political operator. You know, he's managed to sort of unite the party to win this election. You remember the disarray post Jeremy Corbyn's leadership. So, yes, I think he's got a forensic political mind. I think he's run a safe campaign. I think he's run a good campaign. He says he's going to focus on the economy. He's not going to raise taxes. So the economy and health are going to be big issues for him. So it couldn't be any worse. And I certainly feel very hopeful.
Lucy McDonald, the desk has left the biggest question of the day to me, and I'm up for it. Sir Keir might be bringing a cat to Downing Street. There is already a cat in Downing Street. What's going to happen?
It could be a cat off, it could be kind of emblematic of British politics with these two felines fighting it out. But no, this is, of course, Larry, the famous Downing Street cat. I think Starmer's going to be his 6th Prime Minister. He's a 16-year-old tabby. He's weathered many a storm. I'm sure he'll weather a new cat on the block.
OK, we'll watch this space.
Watch this. Larry is ready for the challenge. Lucy, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.